You'll often find yourself spending the most energy and most amount of resources and the most amount of time in putting out fires for people around you who are most responsible for setting their own fires. I cannot continue to support the decisions you're making to set your life on fire by giving you the confidence that I'll be there in my fire suit and resource and water to always handle it. Often we want to say it's the devil, but in reality, it's just you. You got yourself there the first time, you got yourself there the second time, and you're going to get yourself there the 15th time. Hey everyone, it is Jaylen Bledsoe. Thank you so much for tuning into today's conversation. Today's Sunday, and I don't have a lot of motivation for you, but I do have a bit of development and correction for you, and hopefully this dialogue echoes beyond the moment because I think there's so much in here. Yesterday I was headed out to ride on my Slingshot and had a text that came through, and the entirety of that ride of relaxation and thinking led to today's dialogue. You know, I had a really unique childhood, teenhood. I became a millionaire by age 16 through a business that I started called Bledsoe Technologies. When that moment happens, a few things come right behind it. Financially, you take this space of providing on, and you take this space of emotional providing as well. You become the caretaker of those who may be caring for you. And that goes to whether it's family or whether it's friends. And millionaire or not, that's the same reality for many people. A lot of us have taken on this responsibility of the fixer for the family or amongst our friends. And in some cases, we surround ourselves by people who don't check in on us or are simply incapable of checking in or providing a resolution because they know that our problems can't be problems that they could ever understand or comprehend. The best example, when I purchased my house last year, I had a family member ask and tell me, you know, are you sure you can afford it? Because if you can't, none of us can help you. And it's interesting because this same person, to make this stark comment, I'd offered to buy their home just a few months before because I knew they needed it. Not for me to live in, but because I knew they needed the relief of the cash so they could provide from the sale, but also wanted to keep that home in the family. So this video is a conversation for both sides. Those who are the natural fixer and the provider, and those who are receiving those provisions from their family or from those friends. And if the label of this conversation is selfish, that is perfectly fine. As we move forward, you need to prioritize yourself for once. You can't be more focused on building everyone else before you continue to build yourself. Yeah, you might have made it, but you're going to lose who you are. You're going to lose the made it that you've made because you've stopped increasing while you're giving all that you have to those around you. So as you're looking for others to increase, which they won't, you've decreased yourself and you've limited where you can grow and how far you can grow. And if you have this responsibility that's been given to you, whether it's been handed to you or whether you've assumed it, to put out these fires, it's okay to put out a fire or two, but you're not responsible to be their firefighter. You didn't make it where you are because of luck. You fought for the positions and spaces that you take up. So there's no need to feel guilty that you have this responsibility to fix every problem around you for those who are around you. It's great to make the effort to lift those up who are around you, but don't spend the rest of your life doing it. Don't spend every waking moment trying to lift up those around you who aren't doing it for themselves. And I think it's important to know that you can definitely take the effort to lift someone up because it will work. I'm not saying don't make the effort, but don't make the effort on the same person forever, because you'll often find yourself spending the most energy and most amount of resources and the most amount of time in putting out fires for people around you who are most responsible for setting their own fires. One time I can call it circumstance. 2 times I can call it coincidence. But the 3rd time I have to recognize that maybe it's just your fault. And I cannot continue to support the decisions you're making to set your life on fire by giving you the confidence that I'll be there in my fire suit and resource and water to always handle it. Often we want to say it's the devil, but in reality, it's just you. You got yourself there the first time, You got yourself there the second time, and you're going to get yourself there the 15th time. And at this point, the help that you need is not from me, but it's from yourself and from God. And no matter how much I've made it, no matter how much money I have, no matter how much time I have, no matter how much knowledge I have, I must remember that I'm not a God, I'm not the God, and I'm not your God. I've done my part, and that's all that I can do. And now I must lay you and your problems on the altar for someone who's more powerful than I am to help fix you. I was recently speaking at an 11,000 person event. And as I walked off the stage, I learned that there was a fire brewing back home with family. So naturally, I called everyone. I heard what they had going on. And I took a moment to process. I had a solution of how I could come in and fix the problem or parent through the problem. But I had to make this decision and made a phone call to each after and said, hey, in this moment, I'm not going to parent adults. I'm not fixing problems for grown people anymore, especially ones that we've gotten to time and time again. Y'all got yourselves here. Y'all got to get yourselves out of it or through it. And to make that decision, we have to accept that one, if it all burns down, then maybe that is what was supposed to happen. So I have to accept that it's not my job to be sure that everything stands. But we'll often be surprised that even once we remove ourselves from this position of firefighters, that the things that we thought we were stopping from burning down wouldn't have burned down, whether or not we were in it. And yes, that's the reality of pressures that many of us have. I know someone who came out of a 40 or 50-year marriage, and that entire marriage, she spent time fixing the marriage, working the marriage, giving in the marriage, so that when the marriage ended and she needed someone to have her, she never was able to get in the posture of not being the fixer. And what happens when you're never in the posture of not being the fixer, you don't know how to get in the posture of receiving. And so today it's important that as you look at the problems that are around you, recognize what maybe is your space to support and fix this one time, but not to do it continuously. Because if you never learn how to focus on yourself and how to receive help for yourself, and catch this, how to surround yourself around people who can support you in the same way that you supported others, you will limit who you are able to be. Because your entire life, you will be giving and never have time to receive. And if you can't receive, you will never grow. You will be malnourished from the resources you need to be developed into the person that you've been called to be, because you've thought, or you've accepted, or you've been given this mantle of responsibility to be the fixer for your family or for your friends, and you have limited all that you can be. You are doing yourself a disservice, and those who are accepting it or requiring it or demanding it, you are doing the person who is fixing you a disservice. But when you messed up a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time, and you've done the same thing over and over and over again, it is time for you to take responsibility for your own problems and be an adult. So I hope this video spoke to both sides of this. There's a person that's giving, who is limiting their life because they've given all that they can give, and now they're giving in a deficit. And it is critical that they learn how to stop giving in places that won't receive what you're providing, and getting into a posture of being able to receive from people who can support you as you need to grow, as you need to develop into who you've been called to be. And for that person who's listening to this, who is the one who's always receiving, who's always getting into their problems, as I said, take responsibility and figure this out for yourself, because I think it's about time that you get up on your own 2 feet and you go figure out how to fix the problems that you've made yourself. It is not the devil who's put you in that situation. It is not God who's let the devil put you in that situation. It is God who let you put yourself into that situation. So it's time for you to take a reality check and get yourself in line and get yourself together to get the life that you want. And it is not your dad, it is not your mom, it is not your child, it is not your friends, it is not your cousins, your aunties, your pastors, the community's job to fix you if you keep getting yourself in the same situation. Let me be clear. There are moments in this conversation that require community. There are moments in this conversation that require a parent. There are moments in this conversation that require a child or a friend or an auntie or an uncle to get you out of something that maybe is a mental issue, but the help that you need is not them providing and endorsing and coddling you through that. It requires discipline and hard conversations and accountability and putting you in the spaces that will get you the help that you need. And if you can't get that help, at some point they have to accept that maybe it's not my place to help you out because I've done all that I can do. And for me to do any more will hurt me and limit me from growing. I hope this conversation spoke to someone. This is not at all the conversation I plan on having on this channel or today at all, but I believe that it spoke to someone's needs that they're in right now, a space of pressure, a space of feeling responsibility, that they needed to feel a release, to not feel selfish in the decisions they have to make for themselves. I feel like it's a release for feeling that you can't fix everyone's problems. I feel like it's a release to know that the world will not burn down if you're not there in a firefighter suit there to save the day. Thank you all again for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day and talk to you soon. Oh, and of course, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Your opinion matters the world to me as I figure out what we're doing on this channel. Talk soon.